A 73-year-old retired teacher paid full price. She stood in the long security line, lugged her carry-on overhead, sat in a middle seat for 4 hours, and bought a $9 airport sandwich during her delay. Every single thing she paid for, struggled with, and suffered through was completely unnecessary. The perks that would have fixed all of it were already built into her ticket, already required by federal law, and already available the moment she walked through those sliding glass doors. Airlines board over 800 million passengers a year, and a benefit announced is a benefit that costs them money. So they stay quiet, and they are counting on you to do the same. Not today. Perk 9. Free wheelchair assistance, even if you walk fine. Here is what airlines will never put in a billboard. Wheelchair assistance is not reserved for passengers who cannot walk. If you are 60 or older and you have any mobility consideration at all, tired legs after a long drive to the airport, a knee that has been complaining since 1987, heavy bags, or simply a terminal the size of a small country, you qualify for completely free wheelchair assistance. This is not a favor. It is federally mandated under the Air Carrier Access Act, and the airline cannot say no. Here is what most travelers our age miss entirely. You can request something called ambulatory assistance, which means you can walk, but you need help with distances, stairs, or bags. That single request unlocks more than most people realize. You get a personal escort through the terminal, often a faster path through security, transportation directly to your gate, and priority boarding before general boarding even begins. Before first class. Before the elite status passengers. Before the families with strollers. You, a 68-year-old from Houston, requested ambulatory assistance for the first time last spring. She told me she felt almost guilty, asking because she could walk just fine. She arrived at her gate 20 minutes earlier than she ever had. Her carry-on was handled the entire way, and she boarded the plane in complete peace, while everyone else was still jostling in the terminal. She said, and I am not making this up, it felt like flying in 1965 when airlines actually tried. You can also request this for one direction only. Feeling strong on the return trip? Only ask for help outbound. Completely your call. No one is keeping score. Request the assistance when you book online. Confirm it when you check in. And if nothing is arranged at the gate, say this out loud. A quick word before we go on. As we get older, flying doesn't have to become more stressful or more expensive. There are free airline services, seat upgrades, airport assistance, and simple travel tricks that many seniors never realize they're entitled to. I've gathered 101 of the most useful airline secrets into a book called The Ultimate Senior Air Travel Bible. I won't mention it again. If you'd like to pick up a copy, you'll find the link in the description. I requested ambulatory assistance and I would like help getting to my gate. That sentence does the work. Perk 8. The senior fare that disappeared from the internet comparison websites do not know your age. That is the whole problem. When you search Expedia or Google Flights, the system assumes you are a standard adult passenger paying standard adult prices. It has no idea you might qualify for a lower fare that still exists, still gets filed on certain routes, and is almost completely invisible unless you know exactly where to look or exactly who to call. Senior fares did not die. They just went very, very quiet. On United Airlines, there is a passenger type menu in the search interface that almost nobody touches. Select 65 plus and senior fares appear on the routes that still carry them. Most travelers scroll right past it every single time. On American Airlines, the senior desk handles unpublished rates on select routes, particularly to Latin America and certain domestic markets, but you have to call directly. The online booking system will not surface these prices on its own. Delta has senior discounts in certain markets that are not bookable online at all. You must call their reservations line and ask specifically. A retired teacher from Boston booked a flight to Miami through a comparison site for $340. 2 days later, she called the airline directly, mentioned she was 67, and got the same flight for $287. Same seat, same date. $53 saved with one phone call and about 5 minutes of her afternoon. Here is the language that actually works. Do not ask, "Do you have senior discounts?" That question gets a vague answer. Instead, say, "I would like to know if there is a senior fare filed on this route for passengers 65 and older." That specific phrasing triggers their system to check for unpublished rates instead of reading you the standard pricing. Always compare the senior quote against the web fare before you commit. Sometimes the web fare wins, but you will never know unless you ask. Perk 7. Free special meals served before everyone else. Most passengers never open this page. It is sitting right there inside Manage My Booking on every major full-service international airline, and the overwhelming majority of travelers scroll straight past it without a second glance. That page is where you request a complimentary special meal before your flight, and it might be the most quietly valuable 4 minutes you spend before any international trip. Here is what is actually available. Low sodium, diabetic friendly, gluten-free, heart healthy. Soft meals for dental considerations. These are not premium upgrade meals reserved for business class. They cost absolutely nothing on top of the ticket you already bought. And here is the detail that genuinely gets me every single time I talk about this perk. Special meals come off the cart first. While the flight attendants are still working their way down the aisle, somewhere around row 10, your tray is already in front of you. You are eating a meal that fits your dietary needs 20 minutes before the person sitting 3 rows behind you has even been offered a drink. For those of us managing blood pressure, blood sugar, or sodium intake, this is not a small convenience. This is a health decision, with real consequences on the other end of a long flight. Landing well and landing foggy are two completely different vacations. I have watched too many senior travelers order whatever lands on the tray in front of them, and then spend the first 2 days recovering instead of exploring. The special meal does not guarantee a perfect landing, but it removes one very controllable variable from the equation. Your defense here is surprisingly simple to execute. Log into Manage My Booking at least 24 hours before departure and 48 hours out for international routes. Find the special meal section. Select what fits your needs and save the confirmation. If the website will not cooperate, call reservations directly. The whole process takes 4 minutes on a patient day and 2 minutes on a good one. Then reconfirm at the gate on travel day. Special meals occasionally miss the load sheet. That one extra confirmation saves you from discovering the problem somewhere dark and inconvenient over the Atlantic Ocean. This perk is already in your booking. Most passengers never touch it. Perk 6. Pre-boarding is a sentence, not a status. I want to be honest with you about something. It took me longer than I would like to admit to understand this one. I assumed pre-boarding required a wheelchair, a diagnosis, or some kind of official documentation that proved beyond any reasonable doubt that you needed extra time. It requires none of those things. It requires a sentence. Under federal disability rules, any passenger who needs extra time or assistance to board simply tells the gate agent before boarding begins, and they board before general boarding starts. You do not need a doctor's note. You do not need to explain a medical condition to a complete stranger standing at a gate podium in the middle of a crowded, noisy airport. You self-identify. That is the entire process. No forms, no proof, no performance. Think about what this actually means for travelers our age. No fighting for overhead bin space with someone half your age who boards like it is an Olympic event. No shuffling sideways down the aisle while 40 people stand behind you radiating pure impatience. No standing in a crowded boarding group with a bad hip for 15 minutes while zone after zone gets called ahead of you. You walk on first, you store your bag without stress, you settle into your seat, and you watch the entire boarding circus unfold from the comfort of your armrest. Honestly, it is the best free show in aviation, and nobody in coach is enjoying it more than you. Your travel companion pre-boards with you at no extra charge. This is not a loophole or a rumor somebody heard at a travel club. The companion boards because they are assisting you, and that is built directly into the same federal accommodation that covers you. Here is the one thing that matters most. Tell the gate agent before boarding starts, not during the chaos of it. Walk up calmly when you see the agents appear at the podium and say, I need a little extra time to board. I would like to pre-board, please. That is it. That is the whole script. 7 words. And you are first on the plane. Perk. 5. Gate check. Your carry-on for free planes are fuller now than at any point in commercial aviation history. I know that sounds like the opening line of a complaint, and most of the time it is. Cramped seats, packed bins, boarding group 7 boarding, approximately never. But for travelers our age, the fullness of modern flights is actually leverage, and most people our age have no idea they are sitting on it. Here is what happens on almost every full flight. Overhead bins run out before the last boarding groups even reach the jet bridge. At that point, the airline needs volunteers to gate check bags. Free. No bag fee. No checked luggage charge. Your carry-on gets tagged directly to your final destination, not just your connecting city, and it is waiting for you at the jet bridge the moment you step off the plane at the other end. Think about what that actually removes from your travel day. No lifting a rolling bag into an overhead bin at 35,000 feet while the person behind you sighs loudly. No quietly scanning the boarding area hoping someone tall and generous is nearby. No wrestling the bag back down from the bin when you land, which is somehow always harder than putting it up was. The airline takes it from your hands at the gate, handles it completely, and delivers it back to you before you have even fully stepped off the jet bridge. It is the closest thing to having a personal porter that economy class has ever offered, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Here is the move that almost every traveler misses. Do not wait for the gate agent to make the announcement that bins are full. By then there is a line and the goodwill is gone. Walk up before boarding begins while the agent is still relaxed and say, I would be happy to gate check my carry-on if you need the bin space. Agents genuinely appreciate this. In a terminal full of passengers clutching their overhead real estate like it is beachfront property in 1973, you become the easiest conversation they have had all morning. Before you hand it over, do 2 things. Check that the bag tag reads your final destination, not just your layover city. And pull your medications, valuables, and anything you need during the flight into your personal item first. Once that tag goes on, the bag is gone until the jet bridge. I gate check by choice now on almost every full flight. Once you do it once, you will wonder why you ever fought for the bin. Perk. 4. The seat, the law, actually reserves for you. Most seniors have no idea certain seats are legally set aside for them, not as a courtesy, not as a maybe if available situation, as a federal accommodation requirement that airlines are not allowed to charge you for. Here is what the law actually covers. If you cannot lower yourself over a fixed armrest, the airline must seat you in an aisle seat with a movable armrest. A fused or immobilized leg requires greater legroom. If you need a companion to assist you during the flight, that companion must be seated directly beside you at no extra charge, even on the cheapest base fare available. The airline cannot take that required seat and sell it back to you as a preferred seat upgrade. That is not a gray area. That is federal policy. A 71-year-old from Nashville called the accessibility desk 3 days before her flight. She explained she cannot lower into a middle seat due to a hip replacement. She was moved to a movable armrest aisle seat before she ever left her house. No airport negotiation, no gate argument, no fee. You do not need to provide a diagnosis. You describe the need. I cannot lower into a middle seat is enough. I have a leg that does not bend fully is enough. The accessibility desk handles the arrangement and notes it in your booking, so the seat is protected before you arrive. Call the airline's accessibility desk at least 48 hours before departure. Do not try to sort this out at the gate. Sorting it out at the gate means the seat you needed might already be occupied by someone who booked it as a preferred seat. The phone call costs you nothing. The seat fight at the gate costs you your peace of mind. Magic phrase: I would like to arrange a seating accommodation through your accessibility desk. I have a physical need that prevents me from sitting in a standard seat configuration. Perk 3. Delay compensation. Most seniors never collect. Nobody at that gate will ever hand you what you are owed. That is the fundamental truth about flight delay compensation that airlines are very comfortable leaving unspoken. The commitments exist. They are filed on a federal dashboard maintained by the Department of Transportation. Every major U.S. carrier has agreed to them in writing, and almost no one collects because almost no one knows to ask. Here is the breakdown. When a delay of 3 or more hours is caused by something within the airline's control, a mechanical issue, a crew scheduling problem, a maintenance situation, major carriers are committed to providing meal vouchers. If the delay results in an overnight stay, hotel accommodations and ground transportation are included. And as of late 2024, federal rules now require automatic cash refunds, not vouchers, when your flight is canceled or significantly changed and you choose not to take the rebooking. A retired couple from Phoenix had their flight delayed 5 hours due to a mechanical issue. They sat at the gate the entire time. Nobody offered them a thing. They bought $40 of airport food, paid $180 for a hotel when the flight was eventually canceled, and went home thinking that was just how it went. It was not how it had to go. Every dollar of that was covered. Here is the word that unlocks everything: controllable. When you approach the desk, ask whether the delay is controllable. That specific word signals to the agent that you know what the airline has committed to. It shifts the entire tone of the conversation. Follow it immediately with, "This was a controllable delay. I would like the meal voucher and hotel accommodation your airline committed to on the DOT customer service dashboard." Stay calm. Be firm. If the agent refuses, ask for a supervisor. Document everything. Photographs of delay boards, receipts, emails. You are not being difficult. You are collecting what was already promised to you. Perk 2. Free companion. Escort pass through security. Your son, your daughter, your neighbor who drove you to the airport, none of them need a ticket to walk you to your gate. Most families fly for decades without ever knowing this is an option. It is one of the simplest perks in air travel and one of the most quietly useful for travelers our age flying alone. Most major U.S. airlines will issue an Escort gate pass at the staffed check-in counter for a companion who is assisting a passenger with a need. The companion shows a valid government-issued ID. The agent prints the pass in about 2 minutes. It goes through security screening like a boarding pass, and your companion can stay with you all the way until you board. They carry your bag to the gate. They sit with you during the wait. They make sure you are settled and comfortable before they head back to the parking garage. Flying alone does not have to feel like flying alone. That is the whole point of this perk, and it is the one I think carries the most emotional weight of anything on this list. 2 things to know. Some airports limit gate passes during peak travel periods, major holidays, spring break, summer Saturdays. Call the airline 24 hours before your flight and confirm availability so there are no surprises at the counter. And make sure you go to the staffed check-in counter, not a kiosk. Kiosks cannot issue gate passes. The agent at the desk can. Magic phrase: I would like to request an Escort gate pass so my family member can walk me to my gate. Perk 1. The Federal Referee Airlines. Pray you never name. Every U.S. airline is required by federal law to have a complaint resolution official available at every airport they serve. Every hour they operate. I want you to let that sink in for a moment. Every airport, every hour. A person trained and authorized to settle disability and assistance disputes on the spot, right there at the gate before your flight leaves. Here is what this person does. When a gate agent tells you wheelchair assistance is not available, this official can fix it. When pre-boarding is denied without cause, this official can reverse it. When a seating accommodation is refused, this official has the authority to intervene immediately. They are not a manager in a back office somewhere filling out forms. They are available in person or by phone within minutes, and their entire job is making the airline follow federal law. Most gate agents hear this request only a handful of times in their entire career. Think about what that means. The one tool with the most power to protect your rights as a senior traveler is the one almost nobody uses because almost nobody knows it exists. I will be straight with you. This is not a weapon to pull out because your seat feels a little cramped or the boarding line moves slowly. This is for when a legitimate assistance right is denied. Mobility accommodation, seating accommodation, pre-boarding, wheelchair assistance, and the agent at the desk has said no without cause. That is when you say 5 calm, quiet, enormously powerful words. I would like to speak with your complaint resolution official, please. Watch the tone shift. Watch the phone come out. Watch the problem suddenly become very solvable. You are not causing a scene. You are activating a protocol that federal law built specifically for this moment. That is the perk airlines guard most carefully because it is the one that works every single time. Every single perk on this list was already yours. It was sitting in federal law, in airline policy, in the fine print of the ticket you already bought, waiting for you to ask for it out loud. The system is not broken, it is just quiet, and it profits from you staying quiet too. So stop staying quiet. Request the assistance. Make the phone call. Say the phrase, "You earned the right to fly comfortably and the law agrees with you." If this opened your eyes to benefits you did not know existed, hit that like button and